my name is Alex. I'm a solo developer on Chunk, which is out on Steam now. Has been since January 1st of this year, 2025 that is, if you're watching this years later. I just want to put together a quick video talking about some of the things that went well. I'll probably put out another video as well of things that didn't go so well, things that took longer than anticipated, and just general kind of what I learned over the course of developing my first commercially released game. So that's the idea here, and let's get into it. What went well? I would say the general assembly of things went well. So I made this game I made Chunk in Unreal Engine 5. I've been working with Unreal Engine for many years since I was in high school, so well over 10 years at this point. And Unreal Engine 5 was just a fantastic tool as far as getting everything put together and being able to quickly test and iterate with their blueprint system. So that went really well. Thing that had went well was the social media response, honestly. So the videos themselves were kind of interesting. Probably the first trailer I made took the longest amount of time, and I kind of relearned some video editing from back in the day, and it didn't go super well. Got very few views, didn't get a bunch of traction initially. All fine and dandy though. From there on, I went and did some research around the general rule of thumb about what do you want to do with some of these social media sites. So, learning best times to post things on TikTok or Instagram as Reels, and really taking advantage of those short form content applications. Those ended up driving quite a bit of traffic to both the Steam page and my website as well. So I would definitely recommend researching just general, in addition to the social media reactions driving traffic to the site and the Steam page. It also was incredible just in the sense that it allowed folks, other Dachshund owners, to reach out with all kinds of stories, some of which were somewhat heartbreaking, but also kind of heartwarming in the sense that they felt they were able to connect in some ways. That was awesome to hear and read. I got a surprising amount of that feedback. One thing with social media that did go really well was that I was very fortunate for one of my videos to actually kind of pick up a lot of traction from a Spanish Instagram account, of all places. And so they had posted essentially my first trailer as a Instagram reel, and it went, in my opinion, went bonkers. So, I was accustomed to seeing, initially starting out, a few dozen views on things, and then you start seeing hundreds. And then I remember my first video, which was on TikTok, got like 2,000 views, and I was floored because I wasn't doing this to be commercially successful or anything necessarily, just to learn. So it was crazy to see the numbers jump so dramatically. And then this one kind of gaming outlet out of Spain, I believe, had posted a reel of my trailer, and somebody had emailed me, which you'll find out if you release your game, you get a ton of people emailing you trying to get keys or what have you. But they'd mentioned they'd saw the game and on this Instagram page, and I went and checked, and at the time it had like 200,000 views, which was insane to me. So I commented on the video immediately saying, hey, thanks for all the love, because all the comments in there were fantastic. So much positivity, which was great. And then I also reached out to the poster of that account owner and asked to be tagged, and they did. And that video went on to get another 600 some odd thousand views. It ended up, when I checked a couple weeks ago, it was at like 820,000 views, which is, I couldn't have dreamed for anything like that, and kind of creates an unrealistic, I guess not unrealistic, but it definitely, I can't expect that for the next time around, with whatever the next project is. So that being said, that went really well. It drove a ton of traffic, and yeah. Another item. That sucks. Another thing I would mention that went really well was just the distribution via Steam. So Steam has a ton of documentation and just all kinds of guidelines on how to go about things and standards and practices that they recommend. And so, it is fairly rewarding to go through and just read through their documentation, not in depth necessarily, but just get a feel for what they're looking for, how they want things done. And I think that'll benefit you in the long run. I think you'll get more visibility. Also, in addition to just from a distribution standpoint, Steam is amazing too. That the way they have it set so you can set up individual users inside your company, you can set up beta builds. The whole Build Depot system is awesome, fantastic tool set. It's very developer centric, and I wouldn't consider myself super savvy with a lot of distribution or code based systems, but the way Steam handles builds, package builds is pretty impressive. So fantastic tool. Cannot say enough good about it. It's probably why you don't see too many people complain about the Steam fee. There's a lot they provide you. Another item that went well, I would say just general improvements from start to finish. I had started this game 2.5 years ago, and the goal was just to get something out, and in that I wanted to just get a better feel for game development as a whole, because throughout all my experience working inside of Unreal Engine, it was all just very segmented, very siloed approaches, if you will, as far as each component. And a tool like Unreal is it's enormous. You could, there's folks who spend 40 hours a week working a 9 to 5 in any one of those components. And as a solo developer, you have to get the gist of each one of those components. So just being able to get it put together, being assembled, looping all this in has just improved processes for myself. And that was aided by a couple different things. So a big component I would say is creating your own documentation for sure. I used a few different plugins throughout my game, and for the most part there was documentation on those plugins, but it did change over time, and whether that documentation is there or not, I needed to create my own process documentation too, because the way I was using those tools wasn't exactly how it was laid out. So just documenting my own processes with screenshots and instructions, etc. That was incredibly helpful. Additionally, using some kind of tool set to kind of manage your project, right? Or not kind of, just straight up manage your project. Additionally, using a tool set to manage your project, massively helpful. So as far as just improving workflows and efficiencies, of course, but then also keeping you on task. You hear everybody and their moms on these game dev YouTube channels talk about scope management, right? Keep it small, keep it simple, etc., etc., etc. I don't think it's lost on people who start out developing games to keep the scope small. I think it's when you are a month in, 2 months in, 6 months into a project where you start thinking, oh, this might be a good ad. This might be a good feature, this might be a good asset, so on and so forth. And using tools to manage your upcoming and your current tasks, I think, is a great way to keep that all in check, because if you start adding those tasks on, it's not only just putting it onto a board and saying, hey, here's another item on the board necessarily. It's putting that onto a calendar, right? Certain tools, I know, for instance, Notion and Monday and Jira and all of them, they have the Gantt view chart. So using those, putting those tasks on there and seeing realistically what does that timeline look like, I think is massively helpful. And I think that went really well in my case, as I don't think this game would have ever launched without something like that in place. So just generally improving processes for my own sake, absolutely went well. Lastly, what went well, definitely sales numbers. Didn't go skyrocket, quit my job or anything like that, but my intention was that I wanted to sell like 20 or so copies, excluding friends and family. And I went well above and beyond that. I expected, 20 to 50 copies would be realistic. I've done well over 10x that, to not get into super specific numbers. But yeah, it's been commercially far more successful than I thought it'd be. This is not my full-time job by any means, but it's exceeded those expectations. And then this has helped in a lot of ways too, as far as just community management, and then post release management as well. So There's been a lot that's gone really well. I could spend hours talking about this kind of stuff. If you guys have any questions at all, let me know in the comments below. I'll try to get to some, or I'll probably post another follow-up video that's a little more in-depth here, because I know it's just a generic kind of overview. I do plan to put out another video or two. I'll probably talk about just a couple other items that were maybe learned throughout the process, maybe dive into some of that. I will absolutely be posting a video about what went wrong or what took far more time than anticipated. 6 weeks since I launched the game, but it's still pretty fresh in my mind and still trying to get a pretty good feel for, just general feelings towards it all. Other than that, though, it's been fantastic. It's really all I've got for now. It's late, so I'm going to keep it short. Talk to you all next time. Thanks. Bye.